So, this one's gonna be again about a new article from James Clear. So it is actually not a new article, a new article on the podcast. And it's a really, really interesting one. And this time it's a little bit about something different in the first place. In the second place, it's like casual, if you're willing, casual self-development. But it is still a really, really amazing article. I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. But see you after the intro. The goddamn motherfucking intro, because I haven't sworn. I haven't sworn in 5 seconds, and that's not okay on this podcast. Maybe I should actually have a swearing podcast. I think I could do that. I think this would actually be quite nice, to be honest. But I just immediately feel like so fucking good. Like I had a relatively shitty day, at work or in my internship today. It is really not such a lot of fun, to somehow be honest. To some degree it is. I really like the people there, but I don't know. It is just not a lot of fun for me. I don't know why. I really can't tell you why, but it is just what it is. But yeah, the screen is already there, or the window is already there, which is amazing. And as you can see, the title is Why Stores Place Candy by the Checkout Counter and Why New Habits Fail. So it seems to be the case that stores and candy bars are somehow correlated to habits. And this correlation that he just was making there, or what he saw there, is a pretty good one at my point of view. In the first place, it might sound like a little bit, cheap or nonsensical, if this is even a word. I don't know, but I think it is. But yeah, the thing is, really great article. And you might think, it is in a checkout counter because there you're gonna see it after you've bought everything and whatever. But he explains it in very detail, and it is really, really interesting to see why it actually is the case. So the first part, as you can see, because I'm just scrolling through, the first part is somehow like, a little introduction, but it isn't that important because I've already went through this article. Which is insane. I think 3 days in a row or something. It's amazing. So yeah, how to sell candy bars. Candy sales are very seasonal. Bulk candy purchases tend to be made around Halloween and other holidays, which means during the majority of the year, candy never makes it onto the grocery list. This was a point where I thought I would say that actually a lot of people buy candy, but definitely not in bulk, and definitely not like in the first place maybe, or like just really thinking about it. Wow, I need candy. I just really need chocolate and candy and whatever you're buying. I don't think so. And I think that James Clear is totally all right. But I assume that everyone is somehow, unfortunately, buying candy. Really unfortunately. Because it's just a fucking piece of shit. It tastes good. This is something I have to admit, but I haven't eaten candy in probably 2 to 3 years or something, and it is totally fine. I'm eating fruits like a dumb motherfucker. It is just really insane how many fruits I actually eat, just to compensate my sugar, I think, because all of that sugar and or sweetness, let's actually go for sweetness. I think sweetness is a better word to describe what I'm heading to actually get my sweetness, or to actually have my sweetness. I'm only eating fruits, and that's doing it for me. I'm actually eating a lot of fruits, and then I really see, sugar's actually very fucking addictive. It is insane. It really is. When I'm eating some berries, or when I'm eating some grapes, some small things that are really not huge, and there is no kind of effort that has to be made to eat them. Not like with oranges, because you have to peel them or whatsoever, something different there. But I really feel like, and I really have experienced and seen that once I start eating fucking grapes, it's not gonna be only one fucking grape, Actually, today I've eaten one grape, just because I came home and I was like, let's get some energy in, because I'm having to work out afterwards, and I've decided to record it first, because then I can be a little bit louder, because, it is already 7:15 p.m., And yeah, I do not want to shut around when it's 8 p.m. or something. It is really not, it doesn't have to be it. But yeah, let's actually move on. Let's actually move on. So obviously, this isn't what candy companies want, since they would prefer to have sales continue throughout the year. Totally, like which company doesn't want that? So because candy isn't an item you're going to seek out during most trips to the grocery store, it is placed in a highly visible place where you'll see it even when you aren't looking for it. So the checkout line. But why the checkout line? If it was just about visibility, the store could put candy right by the front door so that everyone saw it as soon as they walked inside. They definitely could. But the thing is, as he's going to point out there, and because I've already read it, I'm going to explain it. Just because I kind of feel like it. I don't know why, actually. The thing is, there is something called decision fatigue. And decision fatigue is also correlated to willpower, and it is really, really, really interesting structure, and also a structure that I've been talking about before. I've been talking about it before in this way. We have willpower, we all have, but we all have one tank of willpower, which means if you're using your willpower, it is going to just be used from this one tank. You have one tank. If you're using it from this one tank, which means that if you've used your willpower by whatever you're doing, it might be something that you even don't like. At the end of the day, there's not much willpower left, for everything that you're willing to do then, which means, okay, if you're just losing, theoretically and also practically, if you're losing a lot of willpower by doing some things that you actually do not like, you're also not having the willpower for things that actually matter for you. Which means like actually being conscious, and this is also something that he's going to talk about in this article as well, being conscious about how you use your willpower and also your decision-making power, as you could just name it as well. Which means just because you've made so many decisions throughout the whole grocery store run that we had or trip we had, they place it in the checkout line because they know there's going to be decision fatigue, and decision fatigue is basically like the willpower thing as well. At some point we do not want to make decisions, or we just kind of fall in. It is not like, okay, I'm not going to buy that candy bar. It's going to be like, I'm going to buy the candy bar because it is just really appealing, but I'm not having enough willpower left to sustain this kind of, it's dragging me towards itself. And I think it is pretty interesting. It really is interesting. So if you saw a box of candy bars at the front door, you would be more likely to resist grabbing one. By the time you get to the checkout counter, however, the number of choices about what to buy and what not to buy has drained your willpower enough that you give in and make the impulse purchase. So these are called impulse purchase or purchases. This is why grocery stores place candy at the checkout counter and not the front door. Okay, but what does a Kit Kat bar have to do with building better habits? And a Kit Kat bar is actually, is it Kit Kat? Kit Kat? Well, never mind. The thing is, he has linked an article with the Kit Kat bar. So I assume, might be another great article, as this one, all of, the funny thing is, in the past week, I've actually only been going through James Clear articles just because they are great. Like, they are enormously fucking great, and I can't do anything about it. It is like, really, if I don't know what to go through, the first thing that I'm doing is checking out James Clear's website and see if there's any article that I'm interested in or that I can somehow feel that there is some value in, and then I'm gonna read it, and if it is actually the case that there is some value in it, then I'm gonna just review it, or I'm going to talk about it and or using it to also spark my ideas during the episode, because this is also a reason why I'm going through things, because this just really remind me on other things, which is amazing, which is good, because then I'm having something to talk about, which I might not have without the article, But even because I've had the experience of talking without anything, which means like talking without a summary, talking without an article, whatever it is, it still works. I could talk, but I feel like, okay, there's a lot of value in there. So yeah, 3 ways to change your habits. At a basic level, a store that wants to sell more candy wants to change human behavior. And whether you're trying to lose weight, become more productive, create art on a more consistent basis, or otherwise build a new habit, you want to change human behavior too. So let's take a look at what the grocery store did to drive additional impulse buying of candy bars and talk about how these concepts apply to your life. So the first point is, grocery stores removed the friction that prevented a certain behavior. Friction, not only in this kind of setting or this kind of scenario, is very crucial because also when you think about social media platforms, and also platforms that you're building, for your customers or whatsoever, it is really important that the friction is as low as possible or as not there as possible, if you can say that. Because nobody wants friction, nobody wants to have the friction of, nobody wants to feel the friction of between him and her, or between the person or oneself and the buy, or the thing that you're willing to do. Like, it is something that we don't like. Even though something to be said is that friction has also somehow a good side. And therefore I really like to link you and podcast episode from Seth Godin into the description. If you're on a podcast, if you're on a YouTube video, it's going to be there, because this one's been on friction, and it's really interesting, to see his thoughts and actually hear his thoughts on friction, on the good sides and the bad sides and whatsoever. But something is to be said, that friction has to be eliminated if you want to sell something, because it just makes sense. Nobody wants to make any difficult decisions. That's why actually credit cards work that well, because there's not a lot of friction in terms of, okay, you feeling bad because you've just took out your money, put it onto just the thing, and the person that actually sells you the shit is taking it. It feels like you're losing something, and we people, we hate losing things. The pain of losing things, as I've been also telling you yesterday, the pain of losing things is actually higher than the pleasure is when we gain something. It's really interesting. But if you just, use your card, it is really not feeling like you're losing something. It is like pretty interesting. It really is. And also convenience, which is also somehow, I think, correlated to friction. But I'm going to read there. So they realized that people were only buying candy in bulk around the holidays. So they cut down the size of the purchase and sold candy bars at one at a time. So only one bar, basically. So you can do the same thing with your habits. What are the points of friction that prevent you from taking a behavior right now? Does the task seem overwhelming? Like the equivalent of buying 40 pieces of candy when you only want 1 piece? Then start with a small habit. An example would include doing 10 push-ups a day rather than 50 per day, writing 1 post per week rather than one post per day, or running for 5 minutes rather than 5 miles. The second thing is, grocery stores create an environment that promoted the new behavior. Really important. I'm going to read it, and then I'm just going to talk about something else as well. So retailers recognized that unless the holidays were around the corner, people were unlikely to browse the store and seek out candy bars. So they moved the candy bars to a place where people didn't have to seek them out, which is the checkline, because you just see them. They are just there. They are prominent. You're walking by. You have to walk by most of the time. Nowadays there are also some ways to, first of all, actually buy your food online so that you can get it delivered and whatever, but also buy your food at a counter where there is no human being. Like there is just some automation thing. Like there's, I don't know what it is called. The thing is, you know what I mean. Like you do not have to talk to somebody. You do just have to have a card, or you can even buy sometimes with, coins and the other thing, whatever they're called. Don't know. Bills. Is it bills? Yeah, it is bills. And then, there's no human involved. There's no human interaction. This is what I want to say. And most often there is no, or at least as I've been seeing it, there is no candy bars around. The thing is, it would be so good for them. It would just make so much sense for them that they just have candy bars also in these areas where the automation thing is going on. Because the thing is, how easy it is, Think about it. Like, it is so easy then to just buy some fucking candy bars. Can I please switch? Oh, it is really easy. Like, you just take the bar, just let it beep. It's so dumb. Let it beep, and then you're basically buying it. And that's fucking it. And that's it. It is amazing. It is really insanely easy. There's not a lot of friction. And I don't know, just make really popping designs, like just everything yellow, and people gonna see it, the people gonna buy it, try it out, whatever it is. Also make it maybe really like relatively cheap compared to other products or other just premium bars, like, I don't know, Snickers and Mars and whatever there is. And I don't know, I think people are gonna buy it. But yeah. So how can you change your environment so that you don't have to seek out your new habits? How can you adjust your kitchen so that you can eat healthy without thinking? How can you shift your workspace or place, well, it is actually the same, so that digital distractions are minimized? How can you create a space that promotes the good behaviors and prevents the bad ones? Surround yourself with better choices and you'll make better choices. And this is a really important point, because this point immediately, and I'm so happy to actually remember it, because, while I was in a train, back home, I was actually reading this article, and I was like, I was thinking about something, the thing that I'm just going to get to right afterwards, and I was like, I really hope that I'm not gonna forget it. Even though it is like just 10 minutes between me and being at home and starting the recording, it is really somehow likely that I'm forgetting it, and it is not something fucked up or whatsoever. It is like, it is me, I guess. It is a strength, and it is also just a disadvantage at the same time, because I'm also forgetting about the bad things. I forget about what people did to me. I forget about things that happened to me, and then all these things. I do actually forget quite a lot of things, and I'm really happy for that, to be honest. Because if I would remember everything, I guess I would not be in such a good mood so often. Yeah, I at least assume. I don't know. The thing is, what did this reminded me on? This reminded me heavily on another Seth Godin podcast, so the Kimbo podcast, on because Seth Godin, he is, I don't know if he's the founder, but he's definitely a promoter of Allll MBA. It is basically like an MBA program, but in a different setting. He is just actually structuring, or they have structured it differently, so that that learning is just in the optimal setting. Like, you should be able to learn everything, and everything is in a good way and whatever. So it's just well done. It is an alternative school thing, and it is good, it is amazing, and it is frictionless and whatever. Maybe, I don't know. The thing is, they are talking about just standing up. And I was thinking about, once I was hearing that, or as I was hearing that, I was also thinking about school, and I was like, raising your hand in school when a teacher asks something, or why ever, there's a lot of friction, and there's a lot of reasons why you should not be doing that. And a big part of it is because being in school, or being in normal schools, actually creates the environment for you, or actually has the environment for you to not do that, or maybe feel bad when you're doing that. And the thing is, then I've actually realized how important, so your surroundings, as well as I've been talking about them just really often, just in the recent few weeks, I guess, they're just really important. It is insanely important whom you're surrounding yourself with, how you're surrounding yourself, like, not only whom, but what you're listening to, what you're generally consuming. These just really play into your thoughts, into how you feel, into how you act, into what you're doing, into so many things. And it is really like, if you create a space, for example, for school now, if you create a space where it is totally fine if you raise your hand, say something stupid, and nobody's saying anything, and everybody knows that, then people are gonna raise their fucking hands. People are gonna raise them, because the environment pushes them. Their surroundings pushes them to do that. And it is not a behavior that is like, that feels bad. Being in an environment that is actually supporting and or promoting a certain action lets you feel like not bad when you're doing it. It lets you even feel good, I assume, when you're doing it. And I guess this is also a problem with school, because often it is the case that the environment in school is actually not somehow based on, theoretically, as I'm just thinking about it, on just, I don't know, optimal learning experiences. I assume. I'm not going to raise on just the, even those have gotten us actually. I'm not going to raise on, or raise the educational system, yeah. Because the thing is, a lot of people complain. I sometimes complain as well, probably. I couldn't give you an example, to be honest, but I guess. But the thing is, yeah, we could change some things. Is there ever going to be change? I don't know. But also, Seth Godin made a very, very, very interesting and important episode on school, and why we actually have school, what it was meant to be, and whatever. Really interesting, because it was actually meant to produce workers, as he said. And this is now really going into such a space that I do not really want to somehow promote, because it's like so. The thing is, a lot of people are complaining about school. This is just what it is, and I don't know. I think we are pretty fortunate that we have school. I don't know if the system is the best, but I believe in what Seth Godin is saying. But I'm not going to talk about it. Because I don't know. Let's actually go on with the third one. The third point: grocery stores stacked the new behavior at a time when the energy was right for it. Which means we didn't have any energy, and therefore, timing is perfectly right, The timing is right for the time, or actually for the kind of space or environment that we actually buy things, because we are so drained, the decision fatigue kicked in, and we feel like, well, I'm feeling like eating a Snickers bar right now, and then we're gonna buy it, because we have this fatigue going on, and it is difficult to withstand it or whatever. Willpower is gone because we've been working all day long. Whatever it is actually just a really good place to put your fucking bars and all candies in general. So when it comes to building better habits, you can deal with this issue in two ways. The first thing is, you can take active steps to reduce the areas that deplete your willpower. In the words of Kathy Sierra, you have to manage your cognitive leaks. This means eliminating distractions and focusing on the essentials. It is much easier to stick with good habits if you subtract the negative influences. Which means, if your surroundings, if the people that are surrounding yourself with, if the things in general that you surround yourself with, also just food and whatever it is, you can actually, you can just optimize your environment so that you're not doing something. If you do not have a TV, you won't be watching TV. If you do not have a PC, you won't be doing anything with the PC. If there is no just unhealthy shit around, there is no way you're gonna eat it, because there is nothing around. It just all makes sense. It really all makes sense. It is simple, but it is definitely not easy. The second thing is, you can perform your habit at a time when your energy is right for it, which means at certain points of time, especially in the really late points of the day, it's going to be pretty hard to maybe withstand a candy bar. Might be the case because you've been up the whole day. It's been a strong day. It's been a really tough day. It's been a day that it was really difficult, and then you're not going to withstand it. Which makes sense, but in a really early morning, you are having the energy, and therefore just really putting those really important parts and important things, whether it be habits or tasks or whatever it is, in the early mornings, if there is actually the space and no place and no time point where everything is okay for you, then just have these things there. If it is you're actually able, or your willpower is higher in the evening, please do everything that is important and you're willing to focus on in the evening. It just really depends on what is working for you. For me, it is definitely the morning, It is really the morning. The morning when I have eaten something the night before or the evening before, when I'm not hungry in general, when I'm not thirsty, when I don't have to take a piss or shit or whatever I'm doing, if everything is fine, basically. Then everything is good to go. Yeah. Um, and the last point there is we're actually so fucking good with the timing. We actually are, because often I kind of feel like, okay, I'm, talking too much, and therefore I'm not going to be able to finish up with this article, which would not have been great. Your environment drives your habits. We like to think that we are in control of our behavior. If we buy a candy bar, we assume it is because we wanted a candy bar. The truth, however, is that many of the actions we take each day are simply a response to the environment we find ourselves in. We impulse buy candy bars because the store is designed to get us to buy candy bars. Similarly, we stick to good habits or repeat bad habits because the environments that we live in each day, our kitchens and bedrooms, our offices and workspaces, are designed to promote these behaviors. Change your environment and your behavior will follow. If you want more practical ideas for the breaking bad habits and creating good habits, check out my book Atomic Habits, which will show you how small changes in habits can lead to remarkable results. There's just a lot of habits in this sentence. The thing is, something pretty interesting that he also has been written an article about is addiction, especially heroin addiction, because it was a thing in World War II and Vietnam or whatever, because soldiers have used it to push themselves to actually get more energy, because they didn't know it is a very highly addictive and body fucking drug. They didn't know that. They assumed it was like medicine or some magic fluid, something, and they've been using it. And then they just actually came to the conclusion, okay, it is really not good, and a lot of people have been addicted to this thing. The thing is, a lot of veterans and a lot of people that came from war managed to get sober again, just because it was a complete change in the environment. Back in war, it was like a completely different environment than they had at home, and therefore it was really easy, really easy, especially also when you then go into some clinical therapy to actually get rid of your addiction. It is really easy really easy, like theoretically, if you think about it, to get sober again, just because the environment is completely different. And this is also the exact same thing why a lot of people that have been addicted at home, or in their environment, are just going to stay addicted, whether there is some clinical sober gettingness, whatever, I don't know what it's called, or not. Because the thing is, you go into the clinic, there you change, there your habits change, because the environment is different, completely different. There is no friends, there is no whatever. You're just able to get sober relatively easy. The thing is, once you get out of clinic, you're going back home. And what is back home? Your friends, your old behaviors, the environment that you've been in, which also means like the people, the things that you're consuming. I'm not talking about drugs, but media and all those things, which in the end leads to like, I think 90% chance that people actually are getting re-addicted to heroin when it is just in a normal quote unquote setting. So yeah, your environment definitely matters. And the thing is, it matters in terms of you not having to fight with yourself. Also an article that he has been written, really interesting, which means like those people that having a lot of willpower actually don't need such a lot of willpower, because they were able to create such an environment for them that is not consuming a lot of willpower, which means, if there is no cookies around, well, you're not going to eat them. There's no chance. There's no chance or no way that you have to withstand them, because they are not there anyway. Really good thought. Really good thought. I guess I might be going through that, but yeah. What I know is that this is going to be the end of the episode. Now I'm going to work out. I'm pretty well in time, to be honest. Like it's quite okay. I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered. I'm so happy doing these. I just really feel so good while making these episodes or recording them. It's just insane. Like, it's insane how bad I actually feel during the internship and how good I feel when I'm sitting there talking to you. It is insane. It really is fucking insane. But yeah, one thing is to be said, no matter how nice you are, because we can control our legacy, No matter how nice we are and no matter how generous you are or we are, there's still going to be someone that probably hates us or at least doesn't like us, you know. I guess it is just how we are, you know, as human beings. But yeah. Also, another thing that I wish you to think about is your purpose in life, and some questions that might help you with that are: what are you trying to change on this planet? What is bothering you the most on this fucking planet? And why are you here? Yeah. I really hope that I was able to provide you with some value, whether it be entertainment or actual information, no value. So yeah, if you have liked this episode, please rate the podcast and or like the YouTube episode if you are on YouTube right now. If you just do not want to miss out on anything, subscribe to the podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel, or either one of those things. If you're more on podcast, subscribe to the podcast. If you're more on YouTube, then subscribe to the YouTube channel to not miss out on any good information, great articles, yeah, and great book summaries and great episodes. Bling. Never mind. I see you the next time. And thank you very much. You know, I'm really, really, really appreciating that. Really, you know, I can't even tell it in words. It is insane. I see you the next time.